Mike of Black Cat Amplification. Today I've got a Fender Princeton Reverb. Blackface circuit, hand-wired, hand-built, but it's in this really cool 1960s RCA speaker cabinet. These speaker cabinets were built for movie projectors to project the sound. Well, I found out that the original speaker which is in this for these RCAs were actually made by Jensen, and it's got a huge magnet on the back of it, nice Alnico style. It's a 10-inch speaker just like the original Fender Princetons had, but it's a beautiful, beautiful cabinet. I've restored this. It was very dirty. I've repainted the grill the original color, got all the rust off and everything, shined everything up. I did all the chrome, which was been, all the rust got off of it, and polished it and everything. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful cabinet. And if you've seen any of the pictures online where I posted the pictures, the chassis is actually sitting on the bottom and your tubes are facing up instead of being like the original Princetons where the circuit was up here and the tubes were down. So I figured, I had this challenge. How am I going to get the controls on this thing to where you can access them easily and also make it work in this cabinet with the dimensions? So I created a separate control panel which is then wired to the chassis. And that presented a lot of challenges as well, because obviously the longer the cords are and things like that, your wires, the more noise could get into the circuit. But this thing is quiet as a mouse. It is just amazing. I did so many different things where I had certain insulated wires. I wrapped certain ones together and removed other ones until I got the best combination of like the least noise and just the best sounding circuit. So this thing is a real gem. I've built probably about 5 or 6 Fender Princeton Reverbs by now. And this one to me is my favorite. There's something about this speaker and the cabinet that creates this really nice depth and sound to the tone. It's just amazing. There's a couple differences here too I wanted to explain that I added, basically extras to the circuit. So on the Fender Princetons you have your regular volume, you have your bass and treble controls, of course your reverb, and the tremolo has the speed and intensity dials, right? All these controls are up top here. It's kind of hard to see, I know, on the video. I don't have multiple camera angles going, but on the pictures you can see where this control panel sits on the very top. So if you have this sitting on the floor or on a cabinet, it's easy to get to the controls. So I also added a mid control to this, and I've done this on other Fender Princeton circuits. They had a fixed mids. There was no mid control, and this thing really makes this amp super versatile because you can punch the mids up. You can actually drop them lower than the Fender standard value, but you can really crank them up, especially when you're doing high gain type stuff, where you have the volume up. I also added a master volume in that case too, so that you can dime the preamp volume to get some of that nice tube gain, and then just set your regular master volume on this side and just sort of attenuate it that way. So the master volume is a really nice add to this to sort of set your volume but get your crunch on the preamp side. Those are the main differences in the circuit. Also, I changed one value in the Tremolo Speed, which I'll demo all this stuff in a minute. The speed, I actually allowed you to go a little bit slower than Fender had it set at. So you can still go as fast as Fender had it, but a little extra slow. So it's kind of nice. It gives you a wider range of tremolo. And of course, this has 2 outputs. I have a output transformer in here that allows you to do a 4 ohm, 8 ohm, or a 16 ohm speaker with a selector, and 2 outputs. So currently, obviously, the internal speaker is on, but you could run the internal speaker with a larger cabinet, or you could unplug the internal speaker and plug in 2 cabinets to run a full stack. So it's super versatile with what types of speakers you can use. And 2 inputs, obviously there's a high and a low, and they're on the top as well. And it comes with this foot switch, so you can turn on your reverb, vibrato, turn them on and off as needed on the floor as you're playing. So it's kind of a nice add. This is an original Fender foot switch as well, but the entire circuit was hand built with high quality parts, much better quality parts actually than Fender used back in the day, but it's just a beautiful sounding amp. So let's get into some sound demos. Alright, so I've got the master volume almost all the way up, which is just like having the Fender Princeton Reverb without the master volume. So the preamp volume over here, which is all the way on the left, is sort of your regular Princeton volume, right? It's going to control your preamp sounds. So I've got that set pretty low. Right, and we're going to take the high knob, the treble, all the way down. One half. 3/4. And all the way. A little bright, but not too bright. The mid knob, let's take a look at this one. I'm going to turn the mids all the way down, which goes lower than the value, the standard value that Fender set. I think they use like a 6.8K resistor, somewhere around that range. This is a 25K pot, so it goes not only 6.8K, which would be around 3 or 4 when you set the value of the mid, but you can go lower than that. So here's lower. Put it on 3 or 4. It's about where Fender has it. Let's put it on half. 3/4. That'll shine a little more when I get into the gain stuff. So I'm going to put it back to about 3 or 4, which is the Fender setting. Let's take a look at the bass control. All the way down. About halfway. 3/4. It doesn't get flubby at all, which is really cool, and it just sounds really nice and boomy and warm in this cabinet. This speaker handles the bass control really nice. So I'm going to cut it back just a hair, maybe around 6 or 7. This is really where I love the settings on with this guitar, with this Fender Strat. Alright, let's do the reverb. Reverb, let's see if we can turn it off with the flip switch. Turn it on. It's on about 2 or 3. About 5. And this is a Reverb Tank that is mounted on the side. It was designed to be mounted on the side of amplifiers, and it's actually over on this side, kind of further away from the speaker to cut out noise. And I've actually wrapped it in like a Tolex bag. You know how some Reverb Tanks come in their own sleeves. That actually helps to cut out some of the interference from the magnet of the speaker. And it just deadens the noise and allows you to turn it up pretty loud without getting any interference into the reverb circuit. Here's halfway. Nice springy reverb. Watch. It's nice how it just sort of fades out. put that back, I got it back to about 2 or 3. And let's take the tremolo here and put it on halfway for the intensity, so you can really sort of hear it. And I've got the speed all the way down, which again I mentioned is slower than the Fender setting. So you see it's really nice and slow. Now where Fender has it is probably about right here. That's about their slowest. So again, it can go lower. So let's put it on half speed. 3/4. A little faster. Put the intensity up a little. Faster. And intensity all the way up. Alright, so I'm going to cut the intensity way back. Speed on about 3 or 4. Intensity's all the way down. Just start turning it up. Some reverb on and turn it off, both off on the foot switch. Awesome sounding amp, really, really nice and warm. I mean, probably one of the warmest sounding amps I've built to date because of, I think, the combination of this speaker, the circuit, having the mid control. You got more control there to kind of boost the mids a little, and just this cabinet in general and the construction of the cabinet. So warm. It's just awesome. And really quiet too. I mean, you just don't hear any hum or anything. It's great. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit here with the gain. I've got the master volume now turned way down so that I don't really have to, I don't have to crank the amp to the max to get some gain out of this. So it's very low, maybe on like 1 or 2. I've got a thinner sounding pickup here, which is the bridge pickup in this guitar. And it's a little bit hotter sounding. It sounds pretty good with the gain stuff. So I've got the preamp volume is where I'm going to control the gain, okay? So it's way down. And as I get around maybe 4 or 5, it's starting to break up a little bit. Okay, let's turn up a little bit more. It's on about 6 or 7. So I've got the mid control where Fender would have it set, right? Here's where it gets interesting. So as you have this this gain, I'm going to turn the mids up to about half, and listen to the difference. Back to where Fender has it. Okay, back to mids, back to half, maybe a little bit past half. A little more, 3/4 of the way mids. And all the way up on the mids. Sounding just breakup. Listen to back to where the mids were set with Fender. And boost it again. Gives you a little more control, and I noticed the biggest difference with those mids when you push them as the preamp volume is pushed and you're getting that tube gain out of it. Just really kind of saturates it even more and gives you the little extra crunch. So really nice to have control, especially in those situations.